All right then folks, welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we look at the whiskies and bourbons that I passed on in the month of October. Run the video. All right then folks, welcome back to another new and as always exciting episode here on the Whiskey Cove. We've just hit 7,000 subscribers this month of November. Thank you so much everybody, I really appreciate that. It doesn't take much and it's something that's really powerful and impactful to me. It makes me want to make more content and more videos for you folks at home. Definitely continue to comment, like, share and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Now, today's video, again, moving on to kind of some of the similar stuff that I've said about this video, and that is that you folks really like them. So I'm going to keep doing this series. I think I really like to do these series, and a lot of people in the comment section below say, there's no way you see these bottles, there's no way you see them for that prices. So I just love to show you guys the pictures so you can see for your own eyes. I am seeing these bottles, I am seeing these crazy prices, some crazy low, some crazy high, as we'll see today. So let's dive headfirst into today's video. We will start with the trusty laptop here as always for this episode. So picture one is on the screen now, and that is Willet Purple Top. Not just any old Willet Purple Top, this is the Willet Wheated Purple Top. Came out about a year or so ago. I've tried this bottle, not the biggest fan, completely honest. $289 or $290 is a really great price for this bottle. Normally you see them at least $300. It is an 8-year wheated bourbon. I just think that there's plenty out there that's better. If you're gonna pay this sort of money, maybe go for like an OWA instead. That will be my personal recommendation on that. And then moving on, you can also see that the Foggy Knoll, the Redwood single malt here for $100. That's a little high for me. It usually comes in around $80 to $90. And then the Bardstown Silver Oak, and then to the left of it, this is a limited release from Wyoming Whiskey, and that is Old Faithful. A lot of these limited releases from Wyoming Whiskey have seemed to really been jacked up in price. So that's unfortunate that that price is that, but expect to see any of these limited and special releases from Wyoming Whiskey to be high in price. Moving on, not whiskeys, tequilas, but you guys really liked me to post a little bit about these. As you can see, they had the William Laruella, the George T. Stagg, which is not there, that's the empty tag, and then the French Oak. I don't know too much about the French Oak, but the William Laruella finish for $80. I thought that that one was normally more expensive than the George T. Stagg. However, two really great prices for Añejo tequila finished on those specialty whiskey barrels. Not of interest to me, but I know a lot of people do like them. And then a whiskey that we talked a little bit about on whiskeys and bourbons to look out for. That was this bottle. This is the Boss Hog by Whistlepig, and this is the Juggernaut release. This is straight rye whiskey and then aged in New American oak and then finished in Tandai barrels, which is like an Indian single malt there. $600 is a really good price for that. Yes, it's a lot of money, and I definitely was not going to get this bottle for that price. However, for those who do like to collect these, that's a really good price for that, because oftentimes you'll see them $700, $800, $900. Moving on, and we saw some Baker's here. So the new Baker's has dropped in Colorado, and that is the Baker's High Rye. $80 is right around where the Baker's 7 kind of sits anyway. This is a single barrel, 7 years and 6 months old. So it's going to be at least 7 years. We have one of these. We bought it from the Jim Beam Distillery in Claremont, Kentucky. And like most things that I buy out of state, we usually will see them drop in Colorado, like literally just after I bring them back here. Next up, and you can see with this picture here, is the Knob Creek Bourbon and Rye kind of Boo Rye blend. I haven't seen this around Colorado too much, but this is one of the first times I've seen it sitting next to its sister, the Knob Creek 10-year rye. I haven't bought this bottle, but I've had the 10-year rye, very good. The Bull Rye for $46, that's a pretty good price. And as you can see on the right on the label, if you zoom in, 30% of this is Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, which is 9 years old, so kind of like the Knob Creek 9-year. And then 70% is going to be the Kentucky straight rye, I believe that's what that says. And that's going to be aged 7 years. So it's a 7-year, 9-year blend for $46. I think that's a pretty darn good price. I don't know what this bottle tastes like. I did pass it, as you can see, so let me know down in the comments if I should go back and get that bottle. Moving on, we saw an Elijah Craig private barrel. Talked a lot about Elijah Craig in the last few videos here, and I just feel like there's a lot of, I wouldn't necessarily say mediocre, because Elijah Craig's are pretty decent from the get-go, but I have a lot of Elijah Craig barrel proofs, and I just don't really care for the 8-9 year releases anymore, especially ones that are sub 120 or 60% ABV proof. I wish they would just concentrate their efforts of making like those 3 editions that they released, the A, B, and C batches, just pretty good and as best as they can, instead of worrying about all these private barrel picks. Next up, and I took a picture of this because this isn't a bottle I see all that much. Penelope Toasted Rye. I don't know much about this bottle. They do a toasted whiskey, which is the Architect, finished in French oak barrels, and they do a lot of other really great stuff that people like to drink. I don't know too much about this. I want to take a picture of you folks at home to maybe fill me in a little bit on this. If you've tried the toasted rye, as you can see on the bottle, the toast on this is heavy. So you're probably gonna get a lot of those like marshmallow, new charred American oak flavors. So I'm really interested in that bottle. If you folks tell me I need to get it, I will go back and get it then. And at the same store, they had this Lowe's whiskey. So Lowe's is a distillery out of Denver, Colorado. And they had this kind of, yes, let's say it. It's a little gimmicky. It's for the University of Colorado, the football team, and it's called Ralphie. Ralphie is the name of their mascot, which is the bison that they bring out at the beginning of every game that they play there. This is Ralphie's Reserved. So if you like Colorado football team, then head on over to Total Beverage in Westminster, Colorado, and pick one of these bottles up for $50. Not a bottle that I'm going to get. And another bottle that I passed on, as this is the video of whiskeys that I passed on, that is the Weller Special Reserve Tall Boys. I thought this was a really great price for this bottle, because you're always seeing this, you're always seeing the 750 milliliter bottles for like $50, $60, $70. So this is the 1.75 liters for $50. Really great deal on Weller Special Reserve. However, like I said, for whiskeys that I'm not going to be buying anytime soon, I'm going to pass on that. I'm not going to be reaching for Weller Special Reserve anytime soon. They also had this bottle. I wanted to take a picture of this bottle because I need to go back and correct myself a little bit here. So on the last edition for whiskeys and bourbons to look out for in the month of November, I stated that the Barrel Bourbon Company's New York release was going to be around like $300+. I was wildly incorrect, because the Barrel New Year releases generally set $80, $90, $100. Someone also pointed that out in the comment section, so I wanted to correct that, that I was wildly off in that price. But you know, sometimes when you have a little bit of information, you kind of have to make assumptions based upon that. I also took a picture of the new Larceny labels. So these are just the small batches. One is the regular size, and they also have the 1.75 liters. But if you folks out there haven't seen the new labels, this is what they look like. And then next up, we have this whiskey from Lux Row. This is the double single barrel 4-grain mash bill. When I was in Bardstown, we stopped at Lux Row, and they had, I swear it was this bottle. It could have been like their 10-year or extra aged version of this, but they were charging like, it sounds like $150, $200 for that. I definitely passed on that. But for $70, I feel like this is a much more reasonable price. However, it was filled 2020, so it can't be that old at all. Like, what is that, 4 years? Yeah, it's like almost like 4 years and 5 months. That's not much. So that maybe explains why this is a lot cheaper than the other one, because I think the other one was like 10 years or so. Next up, we have these James E. Culpeper, $70 barrel proof, and this is another whiskey. When I was traveling, I brought back with me because I couldn't find it anywhere, and of course they started being sold in Colorado. I actually paid that same amount, $69.99 for it, so I'm not too bitter about that at all. Very tasting whiskey, a good tasting whiskey, and a lot of you folks at home do like that. A new release from Angel's Envy. I didn't even know that this was on the horizon. This is Angel's Envy's Triple Oak. This is a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey finished in a blend of Hungarian, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but Chinkapin and French oak barrels. I have no idea what that Hungarian barrel is. I'll have to look into that a little bit. But again, Angel's Envy is coming up with these interesting and unique different whiskeys. This was a 750 milliliter bottle for $65. I think that might be worth a punt. Yes, that's still a lot of money, but if you think about like their single barrel releases that they put out for like $100+, they are not worth it. But for something that's unique, triple oak, so it has a triple finish, this might be something delving into. That is Angel's Envy Triple Oak. And then moving on, we stopped at this shop. As you can see, they have a lot of bottles here and wild prices indeed. So much like, unlike those 1.75 Wellers we talked a little bit about earlier on, they had these ones, the special reserves, and I have no idea. Oh, there you go. I think the ones on the left are $750 and the ones on the right are 1 liter. $70 and $99 is just ridiculous. I was never going to buy that. And Henry McKenna for $100, and Heaven Hill for $80 when you can get that for like $35, $40 at basically every Costco. In the back, you can see that they're having a big old sale on that bunch of different Bookers. And then it's down from $200 to the low price of $151. Yes, they do have a lot of different batches going back to 2022 and even 2021-3, I think is the youngest one there. But come on, $150 for Bookers? Not anymore. You can't get away with selling Bookers and whiskey like that for those extortionate prices. Maybe a year ago you could get away with it, but now you're starting to see Bookers on shelves quite consistently for $100. They also had a special sale on Blantons for $110, and then Eagle Red to the right there for $60, which is probably the most reasonable thing there, but still $20 too much. They also had this bottle along with multiple other ones of these, the Old Forester 1924. Really disappointing that bottle is priced up for $300. I love this bottle. I definitely want to get some backups, but of course for $300, that's insanity. That bottle and the ones behind it are going to be sitting there for a long time. And then next up is a bottle I want to talk quickly about here. This is a bottle that I thought is very readily available, and you can still find it a lot in Colorado. However, you folks are telling me at home that it's starting to disappear a little bit. So I have maybe a little bit of a theory on this. This is early times bottled in bond. As you can see on the shelf, they have a bunch here at this store. But in some of the bigger stores here in Colorado, I've been actively looking for it just to see if I can find it. And I'm not seeing it out there. I don't know what's happening with it. I don't know if it's just because the switchover from Sazerac to, Brown-Forman to Sazerac, maybe they've used up all the original barrels that they got from Brown-Forman, and now that they're using their own Sazerac distillate, they're just not putting out as much anymore. Or maybe they're purposely trying to reel it in to make it a little bit more allocated, that they can charge more for it. However, this bottle was $29.99. I like to always keep these below $25, $30. So, albeit this store had a lot of crazy prices, they did manage to get these for $30, which isn't bad, but not the cheapest that we saw. Next up on this, at the same store, they had the 2023 BEP for $100. That's a shame. I did get the BRT02. I got 2 bottles from this store for $80. I was willing to pay $80 for them. It wasn't this visit. It was a little while ago. But for $80 for the BRT02, I think that's a good deal. But for the BEP 2023 release for $100, yeah, that is crazy. And I don't know what the problem is. If you look at the middle bottle, the Maker's Mark 46, I think they think that it's like a rare allocated bottle. But this is just the Maker's Mark 46, and they want to charge $90 for it. I think they think that it's the BRT02, which they also put the price up on, but they don't have that anymore. And at the last picture I took as I was leaving this store was the little bit of a museum that they have going on here. That has the George T. Stagg. I asked them which one that was, and they said that they got it last year, so I assume it's the 2023. And then they also have Pappy 12 and then Old Rip 10. So we're starting to see this a lot in Colorado now, where we're seeing stores just have one of each of these bottles and just happy to let them sit on shelves year after year after year, instead of selling them a little bit cheaper maybe to the loyal customers. Next up, and we had this bottle, and that is Little Book. I had to zoom in a little bit for this one. This is the 2024 release, Path Not Taken, I believe. He wanted $150 for this. I didn't think I was going to buy it because I'm not really looking to buy little books, but I asked him, we had a bit of a conversation about whiskey, and then I asked him if there's any sort of discount that he will be open to on that. He had about 6 or 7 of these behind this one. He said they would take probably 5% off. I could maybe push him for 10. So maybe out the door with tax, I could probably get it for 140, which is probably reasonable for little book nowadays. But again, I'm not really looking for generic little book Bookers, which takes me right into the next one at the same store. They had the Bookers that I was talking about earlier on that you can get for $100 on shelves these days. And then it's the 2024-02 release for $100. Very popular thing to see these days. You just see the Bookers sitting on shelves for $100 now. It never used to be like that, but I think $100 for whiskey people are just not really willing to pay for anymore. And I don't think that this one is the best one personally. However, for $100, if you haven't had Bookers before, it might be a good place to get your feet wet. And next up, I wanted to include the allocation list that you folks really like to see at the end of these videos. I have two pictures for you today. The first one, I took this picture because it does have some whiskey on it. It also does have the green Chartreuse, which is like, I believe, like a French, almost, like not quite Sambuca, like the Green Fairy. I can't remember the name of the stuff. It'll come back to me because I drank a few of the shots when I was younger in college. However, they also had the High West Midwinter Nights Dram. They had the Act 12, 11, and 10 for $160 a piece. That's not terrible, all things considered, in Colorado. I've been seeing them $170 plus. So that's close. I think what is MSRP on that at the distillery? I think it's like $139 or $130. So it's not a million miles away. Colorado also gets like a little bit of a Colorado tax if you like there as well. And then lastly, this is their spirits release list. I took this picture in November, but we'll include it in the video. And as you can see, they still have the Master's Keep 104 rye for $400. They had that the last video as well, so it doesn't surprise me that's gone. They do have Angel's Envy, the cast strength from last year, but it's the first time I'm seeing that on this list for $280. I think that's close in line. They have this tequila, which I don't know too much about. Maybe one of you folks at home can inform me what that is. They have Orphan Barra 18-year Scotch. Red Spot Irish whiskey, you don't see that around that much, for $300. So I don't know what's happened to the spot range, especially the red and the blue, but the prices on them have gone absolutely insane. So that's a hard pass from me. And then lastly, the Blue Run 14-year bourbon. I've never bought a Blue Run. I always thought it was a little bit too pricey for $250. So not really much on that list this time around. As you can see, the red line, that is a Buffalo Trace rye recipe bourbon that they were asking $50 for. And of course, I wasn't gonna waste my allocation pick on that anyway. You get one every month. So I wasn't gonna do it for that. I'll have to wait until next week to see if there's anything I can find on that one. Last month we were able to get the Bookers, not the Infinite, but the fancy Bookers is over there. It's the Reserve one, which I still need to crack. With that being said, hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. Definitely like and comment and share the video and keep getting these views up, because the watch percentage on this specific video is very high, so I know you guys like it. With that being said, as we drink through the world's whiskeys one glass at a time, thank you so much for watching. Cheers.